We're going across now to get reactions from industry. Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, the head of the Confederation of Indian Industry, joining us on the phone line. Sushmita Dev, spokesperson of the Congress Party, also joining us shortly. But Mr. Banerjee, your first reactions to the announcement of this huge economic package?
So obviously, it really covers. It's a very all-encompassing sort of package that the Prime Minister spoke about. And he really, what really was good is in terms of, besides the 20 lakh crore that he mentioned, besides mentioning about economy, infrastructure, and the demand part of it, what was very important was something is there for every sections of the society. His focus on industry, both MSME and also self-employed, was very, very important. And above all, I think one big input that came from the Prime Minister, which we will have to watch from tomorrow onwards, is his point about reforms. He said we will have big, bold reforms to make India self-reliant, which is a huge, huge point. And I think that makes the announcement extremely special today.
All right, Mr. Banerjee, thanks for your first reactions there. Of course, the key will also be in the details. We don't know what the breakup of this is yet, which we expect the Finance Minister to make clear starting tomorrow. But Pinaki Mishra, Member of Parliament of the BJD, also joining us. Sushmita Dev, to you first for the Congress's first reaction. What is it? How did you think the speech went?
Well, Nidhi, most of it was spiritual, but the fag end of the speech spoke of what really matters. But like you said, there are no details in this. He's talking about liquidity, he's talking about land, labor, law reforms. But after the finance minister actually rolls out the thing is what we need to know. But what I do want to say is the 20 lakh crore that the Prime Minister is referring to, we need to understand that he is actually says it's already includes what's already been done. So the package that was given in the first, when the lockdown was first announced, some money to women, to widows, to old age people, one-time relief to people without ration cards, all that is going to be a part of this package. So we have to see, we have to do a math to see what it actually we get after this announcement. That will only come after we hear the Finance Minister.
Right. Pinaki Mishra, what did you think? I mean, the indications seem to be firstly on the economic package, which is, of course, something industry, states, everybody was asking for this. So, that's important. But also, to me, it at least sounded like the lockdown now is going to be probably with far more relaxations than we had seen earlier, because he's clearly talking about restarting the economy. I don't think anybody expected the lockdown to have been lifted in one go. That was never going to happen. Is that the sense you got as well?
Oh, clearly. There's no question that we are on our way to lifting the lockdown gradually, but with many safeguards built in. And that's why he was quite clear that he's going to trust the citizens with, looking after the safeguards themselves. But this is obviously a welcome step today. On the 8th of April, in the in the discussions that he'd had with the political party leaders, I, on behalf of the Biju Janata Dal, had requested him to be bold and to go right ahead and work out a 8 to 10% of GDP package. The devil, of course, you said this, Sushmita saying the same thing, is in the detail. Alas, too often in the past, I think many of the Prime Minister's very bold initiatives have somewhat been tempered, or in fact even tapered down substantially by very, very serious bureaucratic interference and bureaucratic caution. So I don't know what the details will emerge going forward, because the finance ministry so far has actually really been completely on the back benches throughout these past couple of months. If you've noticed that, it's been the Home Ministry, the Health Ministry, these ministries have been in the vanguard of the fight. Of course, the states have been in the absolute forefront, but as far as central ministries are concerned, is the Finance Ministry, apart from a little bit of tinkering by the RBI, has been really on the back benches. Sushmita is right. 1,70,000 crores was already announced earlier. That will obviously be part of this package. That 1,70,000 crores, as everybody pointed out of that 1,20,000 crores was part of already budgeted provisions. So therefore, there was really only about 40 to 50,000
Right.
crores which came in as a fresh
All
package.
right.
I just
Pinaki
hope
Mishra, I'll
that
just come
doesn't
back to
happen.
you. I'll just come back to you because I just want to go across to Vishwajit Rane, the Health Minister of Goa, who's also joining us at this time. Mr. Rane, your first reactions to the Prime Minister's announcements? Mr. Rane, can you hear me? All right, we're going to try and go back to Mr. Rane in just a moment. But, just coming back to this issue of detail, Sushmita Dev, I think one of the expectations was that perhaps the Prime Minister may have spoken a bit more on the migrants who are still struggling to get home. Many have been transported by train, but others are still going back home on foot. I mean, there wasn't much on that aspect in the Prime Minister's speech, but he has said that this economic package will address their economic concerns as well, which is good.
You see, Nidhi, somebody who's already gone hungry for 3 days, 4 days, 1 week for the last 50 days of the lockdown, you can't make good that. That damage is done. But a part of me felt that given the gravity of the crisis of unavailability of food, of basic shelter, people on the highways, the entire thing about having to pay for their tickets, the Prime Minister did not come across as pro. He said, oh, we are missing our vendors on the street, but he didn't have, I think he didn't express enough sympathy and he didn't reflect the gravity of the situation of the migrant laborers. You see, there are 11 crore people who are outside the PDS system. Only 15% of the women to whom the handout was given, the dole was given, or help was given of 500 rupees got it. These are real issues. He goes on to talk about jam and we've managed to do this and we've managed to do that.
So the devil
but
is
what
going
has
to be,
emerged?
Sushmita, the devil is clearly going to be in the detail. Let me just go back to Mr. Vishwajit Rane in Goa, the Health Minister of Goa. Mr. Rane, again, I hope you can hear me. Your first reactions to the Prime Minister's announcements?
No, it's a very inspiring statement what the Honorable Prime Minister has made, because he's always followed a consultative process with all the Chief Ministers. And yesterday, in a 6-hour-long interaction with all the Chief Ministers of the states in the country, Honorable Prime Minister, I think this is one of the largest package in history of independent India of virtually up to about 10% of the GDP that has been announced by the Honorable Prime Minister. And I think it is not fair to say that the Prime Minister has not understood or has not been very clear-cut as far as the package is concerned, because the Prime Minister in his speech has addressed every section of society, building inspiration and giving us the confidence at every state level to say that we need to be self-reliant. We need to ensure that we make maximum utilization of resources. And he also talked about land, labor, liquidity and laws, where he has also talked about bold reforms. And that is what we need to draw inspiration from, to stand our own feet, see where the resources are and maximum utilization of resources. And this package which the Honorable Prime Minister has announced is definitely going to address every section. And I think he has spelled out every section of society and we must welcome it.
Right. Mr. Rane, you just wanted to ask you what Goa would like to do in terms of how to approach the next phase of the lockdown. It's very clear from the Prime Minister's statement today that it's going to be different in phase 4. I think he's hinting at more relaxations. As he said, we can't sort of let the virus sort of control our lives. We can't focus completely on that. We have to move on with safeguards in place. So what would you like to propose for Goa? Will we see more relaxations in Goa now in the next few weeks?
Nidhi, as far as Goa is concerned, mining and tourism were major industries as far as Goa was concerned. But this got badly impacted because of the COVID-19. And mining had some legal issues. But as far as we go, and taking inspiration from the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's speech, what we feel is Goa is the 4th largest pharma hub exporter. And we think that, we need to assess what are the capacities that we have got to build in terms of industry and bringing it back to normal. What you just mentioned is that how does Goa need to look at it? I think the movement is going to start. People are going to start coming in. Flights are also going to start happening at some point of time. But as far as Goa is concerned, we are well prepared. We are increasing our testing capacities, and we have already taken a stand that we are against interstate movement. How best we can restrict it, it all depends on what the MHA guidelines brought about. And most importantly is that we are going to ensure everybody coming into Goa will have a COVID negative certificate, and we'll continue our system of random sampling as far as Goa is concerned. Same time, the flexibility as far as the interaction with the chief ministers was there yesterday. The Honorable Prime Minister was very clear that within the MHA guidelines, every state will have flexibility in ensuring that we have internally, we can make our own arrangements. And I'm sure that's going to go on the same line. And looking at what the Honorable Prime Minister said, we need to get back to work and also same time protect our citizens, and we are ready for that.
Right. As you said, everybody coming into Goa will require a COVID negative certificate. Can I dare to ask you, when you see tourism returning?
Nidhi, you know, tourism, as far as we speak, tourism, I feel however much effort we put in, we need to put in effort, but I don't think in the next 3 to 4 months, tourism is going to come back on track. It may be even longer, but at the same time, we need to see how people stay afloat. And when I say we want a COVID negative certificate, is anybody coming into Goa, we need to ensure that some checks and balances at the state level, flexibility is given by the MHA and the Government of India to the state so that we are able to keep it green. Keeping it green is more responsibility. Yesterday, the Prime Minister was also mentioned that, you know, our focus has been only on the red zones. And even Mr. Kejriwal mentioned that, you know, there are 11 districts, we need economic activity, so give us flexibility and let us and have some sort of differentiation between the red and containment zones. But as far as Goa is concerned, we need to see that some flexibility is given to us. We need to stand on our own feet. We are a very small state. We have got limited option as far as raising of finance and revenue is concerned. Same time, we are confident that we'll be in a better position to keep the people safe. And yes, we will insist for a COVID negative certificate and test people at the borders when they're coming in. I think that's the only way, Nidhi, that we can keep Goa safe. And it's up to each state to draw up their own protocols within the MHA guidelines. I think we should be given that flexibility.
And are you okay with flights and trains coming into Goa anytime soon?
We are already on the verge of it. Now, this is a decision that will be taken by the MHA and the Government of India. And the Honorable Prime Minister mentioned yesterday that the trains that are going to start are going to be the ones we have going from destination to destination with limited stations. But as far as Goa is concerned, we have already decided we have got the list of trains coming into the state. Every person getting down onto the railway station will undergo a COVID test, and the protocols are being drawn as we speak by the Chief Secretary and Secretary Health Government of Goa. And we will ensure the same thing is replicated at the airports and at the borders. And I think we must be given that, Nidhi, because being a small state, we cannot afford to, again, go into any orange or red zone, because our survival is something that we need to look at. Same time, like what the Honorable Prime Minister has mentioned, which was very encouraging with what he has announced today in terms of reforms. Every state needs to look and introspect as to how do we move forward. And I'm sure once the reform comes tomorrow, we'll be in a better position to check what our resources are, which we may have not done in the past. Now, everything has to be on a war footing. And I think what the Honorable Prime Minister basically was trying to tell every state and trying to tell every citizen of India, it's a united effort. All the citizens, government, everybody together, we need to fight the war against COVID-19.
All right, but Mr. Rane, it's important, as you said, you're happy to have people fly in and come in on trains, but subject to all precautions and checks, which you're absolutely right, has to be done at stations and airports, etc. Thank you, Mr. Rane, for joining us with your perspective on the Prime Minister's important address to the nation. We have Yogendra Yadav, the head of Swaraj India, also joining us this evening. Mr. Yadav, your thoughts on this big package, first of all?
Nidhi, it's very hard to react to it because actually what we have right now is a statement of intent. How can you quarrel with intents? These are good intents. I thought the Prime Minister's address had 3 separate components. The first was, frankly, a pep talk. You can't disagree with the pep talk. Yes, self-reliance is a good idea. Yes, we should be vocal about local. But I thought it was rather odd given the context in which the pep talk was being delivered, because while he spoke of the whole world looking up to India, I thought India was sending some images which were rather embarrassing in the last 8 to 10 days. That was pep talk. Second part was announcement, a grand announcement about 20 lakh crore rupees of a package. Now that's substantial. No one should be complaining about it. 20 lakh crore rupees of package. That's in fact bigger than what many economists have been demanding. The only such fear that I have, and I have at the moment no reason to believe those fears or to disbelieve them, is that very often when the government has made these huge, very big announcements, the figures have often been fudged. I'm sorry to say that. Even the first package announced by the government, which said 1.7 lakh crore, when closely examined, it turned out to be less than 80,000 crore rupees. So I can only hope that this does not turn out to be that kind of a balloon where figures are fudged. I don't have to disbelieve the Prime Minister. But as I said, how can you quarrel with the statement of intent? He has virtually listed every single section of society. There would be everything for everyone. So it's only when we see the package that we can meaningfully react to that. At the moment, one can only welcome.
Well, I think we have to wait for the details, Mr. Yadav, and that clearly the Finance Minister, as he said, would get into that over the next few days. But just wanted to ask you also on the issue of migrants. He has said that they too will be part of this economic package. Did you want to hear more from him on the circumstances that they are facing at the moment?
Nidhi, honestly, I was disappointed on this one scope. Anyone, forget the Prime Minister of the country, anyone who's looking at newspapers, anyone who turns on television for 10 minutes, anyone who's remotely interested in India gets to see these images these days, every day. For a country which claims, the Prime Minister claimed today, 21st century is going to be India's, I want to believe him. But how do I believe him when I see these people walking on the streets? This image of 16 people who came under train. And every day, forget that one particular incident, every day, everywhere we have images of migrants walking in situation where they used to walk in 19th century. I really wanted Prime Minister to apply some balm to them, to say, I'm sorry, I understand your pain. He spoke about Redi Patri Walas. He said how much we miss them. We middle class people miss them. Yes, of course. But could he chose not to even recognize or acknowledge the fact that we have had such tragic experience. He spoke of 5 pillars of our economy. I thought it was rather odd coming when it did. He said demand is a pillar at a moment where demand has been destroyed. He spoke about our systems. If there was one example of lack of systems, we have seen that in the case of migrant workers. He spoke about our demography at a moment when demography almost looks like a burden for this country. He spoke about information, but information is one thing he spoke about infrastructure, but the public health infrastructure is in shambles. And he spoke about economy, which is at the moment in a very sorry state. So yes, Prime Minister's pep talk does help me. I felt good for those minutes, but really I would like to see some substance, and only when the Finance Minister talks tomorrow that we can begin to see what exactly is in this package. How can you criticize something without looking at the envelope and what the envelope contains? All I have is a very nice envelope right now. It has a huge, beautiful handwriting, and it has a big sum written on that. I'm waiting to open the envelope.
All right, fair enough. And we would like to invite you back over the next couple of days to look at that fine print with us, Yogendra Yadav. It will be important to see what that fine print is. Because
the Minister lets some information, 2 critical informations towards the end. One, that there will be a lockdown phase 4, that he was quite clear on that. And second, that we have to learn to live with Corona for a long time. Both these are very important declarations. He just let it slip towards the end. I wish he had said a little more about things.
I think he also hinted, though, that this is going to be a very different kind of lockdown, Yogendra Yadav, because he said that while Corona will be with us for a long time, we can't sort of let our lives revolve around it. So we have to wear masks, we have to maintain social distancing, but we have to move on with our lives. So I think when he says that there will be new rules based on what states have said, that, we can fight Corona and move ahead with our lives. I think so. It's interesting. The hints are there that it won't exactly be the kind of lockdown we have seen until now. Hopefully, that is the message that's coming out of there. Yogendra Yadav, thanks very much for joining us. And in fact, let's listen in once again to the key points that Mr. Modi made. One was that 20 lakh crore package, which is the big takeaway tonight, a fiscal package that industry across the board, people had been pleading for. The details will be announced by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman starting tomorrow, over the next few days, as Mr. Modi put it. So we will know what's been allotted to which sector, but this is across the board, from the tax-paying middle class to the poor to migrants to the medium and small scale industries to big industries. Every sector pretty much has been covered by this economic package, which Mr. Modi said amounts to 10% of India's GDP. It is a big number. We will be looking at the fine print, also announcing that there will be a lockdown for a fourth version of it. But as he put it, it will be completely different from what we have seen until now. It will be based on inputs from states. And that announcement on those details will come before the 18th of May. This lockdown is ending on the 17th, so anytime in the next few days, probably after the 15th, since Mr. Modi has asked chief ministers for their inputs, between the 15th and the 18th, we should expect a detailed guideline from the Home Ministry on what the next version of the lockdown will look like. Let's once again listen in to what the Prime Minister said.
हाल में सरकार ने कोरोना संकट से जुड़ी जो आर्थिक घोषणाएं की थी, जो रिजर्व बैंक के फैसले थे और आज जिस आर्थिक पैकेज का ऐलान हो रहा है, उसे जोड़ दें तो ये करीब करीब 20 लाख करोड़ रुपए का है। 20 लाख करोड़ रुपए का है। ये पैकेज भारत की जीडीपी का करीब करीब 10% है। इन सबके जरिए देश के विभिन्न वर्गों को आर्थिक व्यवस्था की कड़ियों को 20 लाख करोड़ रुपए का संबल मिलेगा, सपोर्ट मिलेगा। 20 लाख करोड़ रुपए का एक पैकेज 2020 में देश की विकास यात्रा को 20 लाख 2020 में आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान को एक नई गति देगा। आत्मनिर्भर भारत के संकल्प को सिद्ध करने के लिए इस पैकेज में लैंड, लेबर, लिक्विडिटी और लॉज सभी पर बल दिया गया है। ये आर्थिक पैकेज हमारे कुटीर उद्योग, गृह उद्योग, हमारे लघु मंझोले उद्योग, हमारे एमएसएमई के लिए हैं, जो करोड़ों लोगों की आजीविका का साधन है, जो आत्मनिर्भर भारत के हमारे संकल्प का मजबूत आधार है। ये आर्थिक पैकेज देश के उस श्रमिक के लिए हैं, देश के उस किसान के लिए हैं, जो हर स्थिति, हर मौसम में देशवासियों के लिए दिन रात परिश्रम कर रहा है। ये आर्थिक पैकेज हमारे देश के मध्यम वर्ग के लिए है, जो ईमानदारी से टैक्स देता है, देश के विकास में अपना योगदान देता है। ये आर्थिक पैकेज भारतीय उद्योग जगत के लिए है, जो भारत के आर्थिक सामर्थ्य को बुलंदी देने के लिए संकल्पित है। कल से शुरू करके आने वाले कुछ दिनों तक वित्त मंत्री जी द्वारा आपको आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान से प्रेरित इस आर्थिक पैकेज की विस्तार से जानकारी दी जाएगी। लॉकडाउन का चौथा चरण, लॉकडाउन 4, पूरी तरह नए रंग रूप वाला होगा, नए नियमों वाला होगा। राज्यों से हमें जो सुझाव मिल रहे हैं, उनके आधार पर लॉकडाउन 4 इससे जुड़ी जानकारी भी आपको 18 मई से पहले दी जाएगी।